This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. For my guest today, we're speaking with author, nomadic sailor, as well as former rock star Paul Trammell. Paul is probably one of the coolest people I've spoken with as far as he has such amazing stories from living his life sailing pretty much full time. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Here's for another one of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. Hi, Paul. Welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. So excited to have you today.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
I am so interested by your story and your sailing and all that fun stuff. But before we get into that, I would love to hear a little bit more about you and get introduced to you a little bit more.
Sure. I am an author and a sailor. I live full time on my boat, although, as you can see, I'm not on my boat right now because I'm in Costa Rica. And I'm here just on what we call a border run. Um, our visas, I'm in Panama now, and my boat's in Panama. And we only have 6 months we can stay there at a time before we have to leave the country and come back. So every 6 months. This is the third time I've done it. Got to come to Costa Rica. It's very simple. You get on a boat and then get in a van, and then you walk across a bridge, and you get in another van, and you show up here. But it's all organized and easy because so many people do it. So you buy one ticket, and it's like simple. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today here in this little place in Costa Rica, and I kind of like these little 3-day trips because I get here and I've got no distractions and it's something new, and I kind of treat it as a writing retreat.
Mm.
So that's what I'm up to today.
What brought you to sailing and living this nomadic lifestyle on your boat?
Originally my father introduced me to sailing when I was very young. He liked to sail and probably wanted to do a lot more of it than he could, but he's a surgeon, so he's a retired surgeon. But he never, of course, doctors don't have any time. That's why they all play golf. They don't have much time to really do much else. Um, so he didn't probably get to do as much as he would like to, but he did take us on some offshore trips, and I those just stuck in my head. So all my life, I had this sort of childhood dream to one day get serious about sailing and really explore the world and get out and do some long ocean sailing. Something that was always stuck in my head. And then I really made a goal of doing that when I moved to St. Augustine, Florida, sort of after I got out of college and started my life on my own. I made a goal to, someday I'm going to sell my house. Like I'm eventually going to buy a house, and then I'm going to sell it, and then I'm going to go sailing, like long term. See if I can pull it off. And that stuck in my head for a long time. But then I came to a point in my life where I realized I couldn't do that because I drank too much. I was a musician and a hard partier, and living a really fun lifestyle, but it was very unhealthy. And I drank way too much. And I just knew like you can never sail offshore unless you quit drinking because you just drink too damn much. Um, and so I quit. Eventually, I quit, and then one of my strategies for staying sober was to do things I couldn't do when I was drinking. And then I remembered, oh yeah, sailing. That's what you need to do. That's the big adventure. That'd be perfect. You can really go out and get some big adventure. You'd be off on a boat where you're not tempted by the liquor store. And anyway, so for the next couple of years, I thought, how can I actually pull this off? Because one of the hardest things about this lifestyle, unless you have a lot of money and a income, is how do you make money when you're doing it? So at that same point in my life, I'd started writing, and I wrote a book about how I quit drinking, and that book started selling. And then I wrote another book about my first sailboat and my first adventure offshore, and that book started selling. And then I thought, well, this is it. I'm going to be a writer. So I sold my house. I bought the boat that I'm on now, and that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago. Yeah. So I've been doing that for the last 5 years, sailing and writing, and I've written 10 books now.
Wow.
And currently, I've sort of I sailed. I was on the move for the first 4 years, and then I found a place I like and don't really have any great motivation to leave, and that's Focus del Toro, Panama. So that's where I've been for the last year, and
Hmm.
I'm sure eventually I'll sail away and go somewhere else. But for now, I really like it there, and I'm getting work done, and I'm having fun. It's just every day I wake up and think, wow, this is such a beautiful place. I'm so happy here. So why leave?
Yeah, yeah, that's what everybody you spent your whole life searching for, so why leave it unless you have to?
Yeah, exactly.
So, congratulations on your sobriety,
Thank you.
first off. I think it's so interesting that someone that was living that rock star life is now it seems the opposite to me of what I imagined for sailing of like sailing just seems like such a calm, like solo existence and just focused and not having like low energy as far as once you're on the boat and just chilling there, you're just chilling and able to relax. So how do you um is there an explanation for the two parts of your extreme parts of your personality, or is there something I just don't understand about sailing that sailing is a huge adrenaline rush that I just don't know about? Educate my ignorance, please.
Oh, it is. It's kind of like maybe it's similar to flying an airplane. There's a lot of it
Mhm.
that's just kind of the same thing, and it's chill. And then there's a lot of it that's absolutely the most thrilling thing you've ever done. And sometimes it's terrifying, and sometimes it's entire days of being very uncomfortable. Um, it can be a little bit of everything. Like certainly when the wind is blowing and there's waves. Like wind is what creates waves. So if there's
Mhm.
strong wind, there's waves, and wind and waves. That's what makes the boat go. The wind, but when it's going and there's waves too, it's just and you're way offshore and you're by yourself, and then maybe it's particularly at night, it's very thrilling. It's fun, but it takes getting used to it. In the beginning, it's scary because, for instance, on my first passage, my first offshore solo passage, I didn't have any confidence that the boat wasn't just going to break in half and sink. That popped into my head all of a sudden. Like, how do I know this boat isn't just going to sink? I don't. I really don't know. I just bought it.
Yeah.
It's old, and it could just sink. So there's a lot of little things like that that go through your head, and eventually you get more used to it, and you're not scared anymore. But it is thrilling and exciting, and also I also free dive and spearfish and surf, and those things are big thrills too. And that's what playing music was for me. It was thrilling. It was fun. It was exciting. And now I just do something different to get the same, better thrill. Actually,
That's
I mean,
incredible.
yeah,
With
there's really hard. It's hard to compare anything to what it feels like to stand on stage playing guitar, playing music you wrote, and people are into it and they're dancing. Like that's wonderful. But I had been doing that for 20 years, so I'd already done it. At this point in my life, I'm like, yeah, I did that. I got everything I could out of it. We took the band as far as we could go. We got to a point where we weren't getting any bigger.
hmm.
I moved on to something else. Plus, sober, it's not as much fun.
Yeah. I can only imagine. For I think I have in my head is the biggest difference, but I also feel that it's probably slightly inaccurate is that sailing is solo versus a in rock, being in a band, you're in a group of people. But do you prefer, I'm sure sailing does require at some points multiple people to be part of it. Do you prefer solo sailing, or how do you prefer to do it for yourself and get the most enjoyment out of it?
Yeah, I've been sailing solo the whole time, and so
Okay.
that's really all I know. I have been, before I started sailing, I did go on other boats with other people, um, and there's certainly benefits to having other people on board. Like you get to sleep a lot more. That's the main thing. But solo has its own attractions. There's really nothing to compare to being out on the ocean by yourself. I've always been an outdoorsman, and I've done a lot of things solo, a lot of mountain biking and hiking and even camping. Um, so I'm comfortable in my own company. I have no problem with it. I mean, mainly the reason I sail solo is because I'm single, and I'm not going to not go sailing just because I'm single. There's no reason.
Hmm.
Um, but I do like it. Yeah, sailing solo is fun. There's a lot to it that's really cool. Like it's very rewarding. Every problem that comes up, and problems arise all the time. It's strictly up to you to solve it. And sometimes you have to sit and think about how you're going to do it because you're by yourself. And of course, the longer you sail solo, the less you have to sit and think about it. You know what you have to do and what steps you have to go through, and you just do it. But it's very rewarding to solve all the problems by yourself, and sail from point A to point B and anchor and be there and have it, have it just be you. And then there's also the benefit of never having to worry about somebody else's safety. Like I'm the captain of the
Hmm.
boat. I am morally, ethically, and legally responsible for everybody's safety on my boat. And every captain who has passengers worries about that. You worry that that other person's going to fall overboard and be gone. And not only are you going to lose them, you're going to have to call their family and tell them. And it's going to be your fault, and you're going to go to court. Um, like those things are just in the heads of every other sailor who has, whether it's your wife or just other people like that, is always on the minds of other people, and they
Hmm.
go to great lengths to prevent their passengers from falling overboard. And that's another thing. You can just spend endless amounts of money on safety equipment. And if you have, imagine your loved ones are on the boat with you. How much money are you going to spend on the little electronic devices they can be wearing, and the life jackets and the things you can throw overboard? And there's just you can spend all your money on that stuff, and you have to come to a decision of where do I stop.
Yeah.
So there's just difficult decisions to be made when you have passengers, and I don't have any of that to worry about. It's just me out there. It's just totally chill. I do everything to keep myself from falling overboard, but I don't. All I have to worry about is me, and I don't worry about me for very long.
I also, even I've never, rarely, I'm actually going on my second cruise, which is not the same as sailing, but like I'm primarily travel on land, not really, I'm not a travel by sea or by river person, but I would like to be. I wish I could be. I get motion sickness, which makes sailing quite difficult for me, but as far as traveling by land of solo, my solo travels, I feel unstoppable, and it's definitely changed. I did it for 9 months of just traveling around Europe by myself, and my family noticed a huge change in my personality as far as I had more confidence
Mm-hmm.
because I knew, well, if I do this, I could do anything. Do
Mm-hmm.
you feel that it's helped you in a number of ways as well? Other than unloading some burdens of safety concerns for others and just having to worry about you, and freeing up some stress space in that way. But has it changed and given you more confidence as well?
Absolutely, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Um, I definitely feel like you said, like not only like I can do whatever I want to do, but I also feel like wow, like I've done it. I don't have anything to prove to anybody ever again.
Mhm.
I can. You're sort of freed of all the uncertainties in your life. Like when you're a child, for instance, you don't really know who you are yet, and you don't know if other people think you're cool. And there's so many things you can worry about and be anxious about as a child. And as you get older, you start to move through those things. And traveling solo, sailing solo, it pretty much gets rid of all the rest of them. Whatever other anxieties you've got in your life, they can all just be discarded now because you've done these things that are so over and above the
Yeah.
norms of society and what the rest of your life was like. Nothing else can bother me now, and it's very hard for me to feel any sort of fear anymore too. Like I feel the kind of fun sorts of fear, like when I go free diving or see a shark, or I'm surfing a big wave that's scary over a reef. Like I still feel the kinds of fear that bring me enjoyment, but but I'm not. There's very little that I'm really scared of anymore because I've just seen it all out in the ocean now, and everything else doesn't really compare. Like what's scarier than being out on the ocean in a storm by yourself at night, or what's scarier than a giant shark swimming right up to you when you're in the water? Like,
Wait, did that happen to you? Because then you must tell that story.
yeah, that's happened to me numerous times. Um,
So what does one do if they're in the ocean by themselves and a shark is swimming up to them?
you treat it just like you would a dog. So let's say you are out on the street or on a trail or whatever. You're out by yourself. There's no one else around, and a large dog you've never met starts coming up towards you, and it's not like a pet. It's like a big dog, and it's like maybe it's growling or maybe it's like acting a little aggressive. Like, what do you do? Well, do you turn and run? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right? You ever run from a dog? No, you don't run from a dog.
No.
Pretty much most everybody knows that it will bite you no matter what because it triggers a response, predator prey response. So you treat the shark the same way you would a dog. You make eye contact with it. You stare it right in the face. You don't look scared. You just you just act like you're not scared of that shark at all. Like the best thing you can do is just keep doing whatever you're doing. Really, like you're not even worried about it. Like you're not even thinking about it. Like that shark is beneath you. Like that's what a big dog does to a little dog, right? When a little
Right.
dog starts barking at a big dog, does the big dog even acknowledge it? No, typically not, because the little dog is beneath that big dog. And does that make the little dog want to attack it? No, that makes the little dog think, yeah, that thing is like so bigger and above me. I'm not even gonna think about attacking it. But if the shark actually swims towards you, now you need to stop what you're doing, make eye contact. If you're holding a spear or a camera or a flashlight, you can hold that out as a barrier between you and it. And
Okay.
it actually gets up to where it's going to contact you. You put your hand out on its nose and push it away. I've never had to do that, but that's common for people who dive with sharks to do.
Okay.
Some
That's
people
good to
some
know.
people attract sharks and then go diving with them, and they have to push them away sometimes. I don't do that, but
Yeah, that's tempting fate for me.
yeah, but I've had them swim towards me, while I'm spearfishing, like start swimming right towards me, and for a long time I was absolutely terrified of sharks, and then I started to learn more about them, and I'm a podcaster too, and I interviewed a shark expert, and once I learned all the things, some of which I just told you, then it took away all the fear. Now
Mhm.
I had the knowledge in my head, and I didn't need to fear them anymore.
Yeah, knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, back to sailing, of what you had all these ideas, right? You were dreaming of sailing for so long, and I'm sure it came up with all these ideas of what sailing out into the ocean and such would be like. What was the biggest pleasant surprise for you that you came across as you started sailing?
The biggest pleasant surprise, gosh, the first thing that just popped into my head when you said that is the feeling you get when you arrive at a destination that you've never been to, that you've been planning on, you've been
Mm,
studying it on the maps, and you've been looking maybe at Google Earth, and you've built it up in your head to be this remote, exotic place. There it is. All of a sudden, it's real. You see it as like a faint speck on the horizon that slowly grows. And the first time I really experienced that was at Water Key in the Ragged Islands in the Bahamas, uninhabited island, surrounded by other uninhabited islands, off the beaten path. My guide to the Bahamas, my cruising guide to the Bahamas, stressed how important it was to be self sufficient if you went there and to be careful. And it's not a place to go unless you were prepared for it, et cetera, et cetera. Really built up in my head as like a difficult destination to get to, and
mm.
distant, exotic, remote place. And there it was, and all of a sudden it was real. It was as if something I had imagined for so long suddenly became real. Like if you had an imaginary friend or something, and like all of a sudden it was real.
Yeah.
It's like it's this strange feeling, like wow, like this is actually real, and I'm here, and I sailed here on this little boat, thousands of miles away. It's it's a strange feeling. I got it again when I went to Newfoundland a couple of years ago. I arrived at this out of the fog came these huge cliffs that were like a quarter mile away, and they're so
Mm.
tall they're obscured by the clouds, and it's this misty, foggy cliff with two cliffs, one on either side of the entrance to the fjord. And to sail into that after trying to get there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, and after having built it up in my head again, is this mystical place, and then arriving, and it's even more dramatic and beautiful than you
Mm.
had imagined. That's a pleasant surprise.
Is that your favorite thing about sailing in general, or as you've gotten more of a pro at it, are there other things that you have even beaten that feeling of
Uh,
sailing?
the thing I love about it most is just the fact that it allows you to get really deep into nature.
Hmm.
I've always appreciated things that get me deep in nature, like canoeing, camping, um, mountain biking. Came mountain biking I loved because in one day you can cover 20 or 30 miles of wilderness trails. You can get way back into deep wilderness quickly on a bike. So I love that about it. And and plus it's a human powered vehicle, so it's not making any noise. You really get the wildlife, the wilderness experience. But sailing magnifies that. So you're like when you're out on the ocean and all you see is ocean and there's no other boats. I always get this feeling. I always think to myself, I'm the only person here in this 15-mile diameter circle of Earth. There's nobody else here, and it's like that all day long.
Mm.
There's, it's like wow, this is a huge wilderness area. And there's nobody
Hmm.
here but me. And then you see a sunset or something that's just extraordinarily beautiful. And you're like wow, like I'm the only person that can see this right now. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh boy. So when I hear you talk about stuff like that, it's not a wonder to me that you have become a writer. And that you're being inspired. I'm sure you're being inspired all the time by things that you're coming across. How for you does sailing impact your writing, and then vice versa? Does writing impact your sailing at all?
Wow, that's a good question. The second part is a really good question. Yeah, certainly sailing influences my writing. I write often write about sailing. I've written I think 5 sailing nonfictions.
Mm.
So it's fun when I'm going on a trip that I know is going to be something to write about, like Newfoundland. You just journal every day. I
Mm.
mean, you need to as a sailor anyway. You need to keep a log, write down the weather conditions and your direction and the wind speed and all the data every hour or two. Well, every 2 or 3 hours. You need to do that anyway. So I just write more. I just write all that and then more. What I'm feeling and what I'm seeing, and then after I arrive, I continue journaling and write about what I do, and then that becomes the raw material for a book. But the second part of the question is even more interesting. How does writing affect my sailing? And that what comes to mind there is my second sailing nonfiction, which is called Journey to the Ragged Islands, where I went to Water Key, which I mentioned earlier. I had it in my head that I was writing a book that needed to have adventure. So I need to do adventurous things. I need to have adventures happen to me. My God, I tell you what, after a couple of near death experiences, I was just like, okay, I'm done with the adventure. I just want something chill. I just want to relax for a while. Like no more sharks. Like I almost drowned when I'm writing that book. I had a huge oceanic white-tip shark, one of the most dangerous sharks in the world, known to have eaten many people. Um, I had one of them approach me and bump into my surfboard. I was on a large surfboard. It's kind of more like a kayak, almost as big as a kayak, or very big, a 12-foot surfboard. I was paddling with a kayak paddle. I had this oceanic white tip come up, and dorsal fin out of the water, swimming towards me, bumps into my board, and I push it away with the paddle, and it comes back and does it again and again and again. It was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me. And then I almost drowned while I was freediving. I lost consciousness underwater. I passed out underwater while freediving alone, which is like 99% of people that happens to die. It somehow I woke up on the surface, like, and then I got scared by another shark, and I had my anchor get stuck at 65 feet down, and had to dive down there and free it. So many things happened to me that were so. Anyway, that's how writing
Wow.
affected my sailing. I was
Yeah.
really going after adventure, and it just happened in a big way. It made for a
Do
good book. Journey to the Ragged Islands. It's got at least 3 near-death experiences in it.
Wow. So maybe we want to stick with the route of sailing impacting the writing as opposed to writing impacting the sailing.
What I would, yeah, ideally, my writing career will move more into writing novels, where I can sit somewhere peaceful and write a novel. I've written 4 now, 3 that I've published, 1 that I'll be publishing soon.
That's incredible. Are you able to talk about the one that's going to be coming out soon? Can we
Yeah,
pitch it?
sure, sure. The working title is Identity Crisis, and the idea came to me when I was talking to my mother on the phone, because I was in the Bahamas two winters ago, and I decided to pick up a sailing hitchhiker. This was a woman who was traveling alone, who wanted to be on a sailboat, and was in the Bahamas and was going in the same direction I was going. So I thought, well, why not? Here I am, solo, single. Like I never run into single women when I'm sailing. So why not pick one up who wants to ride on my boat? So I did, and everything was fine. But my mother asked me to send her a photo of me every day, and I didn't. I was speculating as to why that would be. Like, why does my mom want a photo? Like, is she worried that I'm not going to be happy? Like, is she worried this woman's going to make me miserable or something? And I mentioned that to my father, and he said, "No, Paul, it's because your mother is afraid she's going to kill you and steal your boat, and she wants a photo because this woman could feasibly kill you, steal your boat, and then impersonate you with text messages."
Yeah.
Well, that became my novel, Identity Crisis. That's what happens in the novel. That's the big.
That's
Not what happens. That happens in the beginning, and then the rest of it's the story.
amazing. Do you have a release date yet, or are you still in the process of writing it?
I've written it, and right now I'm submitting it to publishers and literary agents.
All
So
right. Well, we got to get the word out there. We got to get
yeah,
people.
yeah,
I
it'll
can't
it'll
wait
be
to
this
hear.
year. It'll be before this year's over.
Perfect. So then we'll have to re-release this podcast in celebration of
Yeah,
when this when the book's coming out.
yeah,
I'm so excited for you with that. So I'm inspired just listening to you and all the stories that you have. I feel like we've either sold people on sailing or made them feel like they could never do it. They'll just have to watch you from afar. If someone wanted to get started on sailing, what are some of the things that you recommend that they do to be able to do that and get started themselves?
yeah. Great question. The very beginning, if you haven't already done so, is to get out and sail a little bit and make sure you like it, either on other people's boats or just go rent a sunfish and tool around on it. But typically, if you're already thinking about it, you've done that. In which case, the next thing is to take the 1 week ASA sailing course, the American Sailing Association. They have a 1 week course where it's like 8 hours a day for either 5 or 7 days, and maybe 1 or 2 of those hours is in classroom. The rest are on a boat. You get out on a small boat the first day, and then the rest of the time you're on like a cruising boat, a legitimate 36-foot cruising sailboat. Just for me, it was me and 2 other students and one teacher, and we're out there on this boat learning how to sail. And at the end of the week, you can sail. At the end of the week, you get your bareboat license, where you can charter a boat. You can go to the Virgin Islands and charter a sailboat. And so that was the first thing I did. I took that class, and then I went online on Crewbay. There's a couple of websites like Crewbay where people who own boats and need crew find people who want to be their crew. So if you've just taken that class and you want to sail and you want to get some experience, you can go out on somebody else's boat. For instance, the one I did, it was a guy who was sailing from St. Lucia in the Eastern Caribbean to Puerto Rico, a 3-day sail. He was solo, but his insurance required him to have 2 crew members. So he got on Crew Bay and found us, and he was asking for like $30 a day or something to cover food and contribution for diesel. Pretty minimal expense to get a 1 week, three days of actual sailing, but it was ended up being a week or so on his boat. Excellent experience. You get out, you get to go offshore with the sailor who knows what he's doing and learn. And then again, you get to see if you really like it, or if you're going to be terrified and hate it, or if you're going to be seasick and hate it, or if you're going to love it. And if you take that class and you love it, and then you go out and you sail on somebody else's boat and you love it, and you know you have the time and the money, then you can go ahead and buy a boat, or you can join a sailing club that owns boats. So you don't have to own a boat; you can just use the sailing club's boat. But I went ahead and bought a boat.
Yeah, why
And
not?
but I wouldn't recommend buying a boat unless you really have the time to use it and you know where you're going to keep it and you know you can afford it and you know that you can get out there and do some work on it because they require maintenance. Like I wouldn't really want to own one personally unless I live on it because
Yeah,
otherwise it's just this thing that's always in your head that you need to go check on and you need to go fix and they need love. Like it's like owning a car and a house that lives on salt water. So
yeah,
out in the sun, like in the tropic sun. So they always need a little bit of maintenance.
yeah,
But if all that sounds good to you, go ahead and do it. Pull it, and then at some point you can sell your house. If you know how you can make a living out on the water, like now you can get Starlink and be connected all
yeah,
the time. You can make a living online, and you know you want to do it, and you're tough enough. Like you like to camp, for instance. You're not like miserable when you're camping. It's easier than camping. You've got a bathroom, you've got a kitchen, but it's kind of like camping, all the time. Or
That's
RVing.
incredible.
Yeah, but you always have this 360-degree water view. You can move. One of the things I see happening like around me, people that want to move to the tropics and buy land and buy a house. That's a cool dream, but it's often not reality. Often, I've seen people buy property in a foreign country and then have legal problems they didn't realize they were going to have, and it just ruins it. Or you can buy property somewhere beautiful and then a year later, a bar opens up right next to you that plays loud music until sunrise, literally. Like some of the bars where I live, where I am now in Panama, they go all night until the morning. I sometimes I'm doing yoga on the deck of my boat in the morning, and there's still people drinking and partying, and the music's still playing at the bar, and it's like the sun's coming up. Like that's not uncommon in Panama.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay.
There's certainly no last call. There's
Yeah.
no such thing. They don't know what that is. They've probably never heard those 2 words put together.
I love that.
So
I
on the boat, you can just move. If anything changes, you're just like, nah, you're gonna be moving anyway. So
yeah,
that's never an issue.
I am so inspired by you, Paul. I don't know if I'm tough enough to be able to do what you've been able to do, but I certainly am so inspired by your stories and I can't wait to get your books. This is usually I have a series of wrap-up questions and this is usually the last one that I ask, but this is going to be the first one in my wrap-up, my rapid fire questions that I'm going to ask. Where can people find you and where can people follow your adventures and read your books? Where can they get those things?
PaulTrammell.com. Everything's on my website, PaulTrammell.com. Yeah, I mean my books are on Amazon. You can look my name up there too. But my website's got links to everything.
Amazing. And I'm going to put those in the show notes for this podcast as well. And hopefully one day we'll be able to meet in person and I'm going to make you sign all of your books
All right.
because I'm going to get all of them because I want to follow your journey. I have another set of rapid fire questions. Is it okay that I ask you those?
Yeah, fire away.
All right, perfect. What is your favorite food city that you've ever visited?
Food City. Um, you know, Louisiana. I mean, it's a state, but if city,
That works?
I'll give you Alexandria, Louisiana, because that's where my parents live. The food in Louisiana is the best in the world, in my opinion, or it's among the best in the world. The cuisine there is extraordinary. It's just unbeatable, I think.
I've heard that's been an answer a couple of times on this podcast. So definitely, I can't wait to be able to go there. That's one place I have not visited yet. Do you prefer a vacation that requires you to be active or relax?
Active. I want to go on a
I'm not
slow trip
surprised.
or hiking, or yeah, I don't need to relax. I need to get out and do stuff.
Where is the city that you learned the most about yourself?
Uh, the city. I don't ever go to cities, so
It's
I don't
okay.
know.
Country or any particular ocean or sea, part of the ocean or sea that you learned the most about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, uninhabited islands in the Bahamas. Um, that would be the closest thing I could tell you to that.
That's such a cool answer.
Yeah, or if you really want a city, let's go with Bocas Town, which is not a city at all, but it's an inhabited place. Bocas Town,
I
East of
love that.
Colón, Bocas del Toro, Panama.
I love that. That is amazing. Well, Paul, I've taken up way too much of your time, but thank you so much for this conversation. It was a pleasure speaking with you and hearing your stories. I can't wait to get your books and read some more of it. And of course, for those that are listening, I'll have the links in the show notes. And yeah, I hope that this isn't the last conversation we have. This was incredible. Thank you so much for all that you've inspired me with today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Ashley. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for joining. Alrighty. Thank you for listening to another episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. I hope it lived up to your expectations because it went far beyond mine. Thank you for listening. As always, till next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.